Hey guys, welcome to another math lesson with HK Math and Science. This video is about the language of algebra, and so the learning intention is to understand the language of algebra. By the end of this lesson, we should know the basic terminology of algebra, be able to identify coefficients, terms, and constant terms, and finally be able to write expressions from word descriptions. So let's just pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to write these down. So let's start off by going through a few key ideas of this lesson. So in algebra, the letters can be used to represent one or more numbers. These letters are called pronumerals or variables, so make sure you know these two words. Also, a times b is written as ab, so we just get rid of the multiplication sign. A divided by b is written as a over b as a fraction, and a times a is written as a squared. Make sure you know what all these mean as well. So you might want to pause the video here and write these down into your books as well. Alright, so moving on to the key terms, we need to know what an expression means, a term means, also what a coefficient is, and what a constant term is. So let's start off with an expression. An expression is a combination of numbers and pronumerals combined with mathematical operations. So an example of an expression is here. So just a combination of numbers and pronumerals, as you can see in here, combined with mathematical operations. I'll just make another one off the top of my head. 2a minus 3c plus 4xy. This is also an example of an expression. Also, a term is a part of an expression with only pronumerals, numbers, multiplication, and division signs. So this is an example of a term. That's also an example of a term. 9a, 10cd, and 3x over 5. They're all examples of terms. So also 2b will be another example of a term. 3xy is also another example of a term. So they're just pronumerals and numbers with either only multiplication and divisions. Alright, so now moving on to the next two key terms, we had, like I said before, coefficients and constant terms. A coefficient is a number in front of a pronumeral. So example, in this expression here, 3x plus y, the coefficient of x is 3. So that's simply the coefficient there. So just the number in front of the letter. Also, a term that does not contain any variables is called a constant term. So I've just got an example expression over here for you. The constant term in this will be the 8 because that's the only term that does not contain any variables. So 8 will be the constant term. So in other words, it's pretty much just the number by itself. Alright, now that we've gone through the key ideas and the key terms, let's move on to an example question. So this first one says list the individual terms in the expression 4a plus b minus 12c plus 5. So the individual terms in this expression are just each one of these. So your answer for this would just be 4a, b, 12c, and 5. I'll just fix up that a there. Alright, so now we need to find the coefficients in question B. It says in the expression 4a plus b minus 12c plus 5, state the coefficients of a, b, c, and d. So if you remember from before, a coefficient is the number in front of a pronumeral. So in this case for a, it's just going to be 4 because that's the number in front of a. In front of b, there's no number, so that's just going to be 1. In front of c, we have a negative 12. Don't forget that negative sign. And there is no d, so d is just going to be 0. Let's move on to question C. What is the constant term in 4a plus b minus 12c plus 5? So if you remember this from the slide before as well, a constant term is when it doesn't have any variables, so pretty much no pronumeral. So that's when the number is by itself. So in this case, it would just be the 5 there. So your answer to C is 5. And last one, question D. State the coefficient of b in the expression 3a plus 4ab plus 5b squared plus 7b. So we need to state the coefficient of b. This one might be a little bit confusing because there's quite a few b's here, but we want b just by itself. We don't want b squared and we don't want ab. We want just b, so the coefficient of b is going to be 7. Alright, now moving on, it's your turn. Let's just pause the video here, have a go at these by yourself, and just unpause the video when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so this first one, we need to list the individual terms in the expression 3x plus y plus 4 minus 12z. So just like before in the previous question, it's each individual one there. Sorry about that. So it's just 3x, y, 4, and 12z. So let's write that here. So 3x, y, 4, and 12z. Give yourself a tick if you got that correct. Alright, now moving on, in the expression 3x plus y plus 4 minus 12z, state the coefficient of x, y, z, and w. So let's do that one here. The coefficient of x, so the number in front of the x is 3. As you can see there's no number in front of y, so that means it's going to be 1. In front of z, we have a negative 12. and there is no w, so w is going to be 0. Alright, now moving on to question C. What is the constant term in 3x plus y plus 4 minus 12z? Remember, it's just a number by itself, so the constant term here is going to be 4. And for the last question, state the coefficient of y in the expression 4xy minus 3x plus 6y plus 2y squared. Remember, we want y just by itself, so we don't want xy, we don't want y squared, we want y by itself, so the number in front of y is going to be 6. Give yourself a tick if you got these two correct as well. Alright, now moving on, just before we get to some more questions, we need to know a few key terms again. So we need to know what sum means, what difference means, what product means, what quotient means, and what square means. So the sum of a number just means plus or addition, so the sum of a and b is a plus b there. Make sure you do know these words. The difference is subtraction, so a difference of a and b is going to be a minus b. Product is when you multiply. So product of a and b is just going to be a times b, and remember from before, it can be written as just ab. The quotient of a and b is the same thing as a divided by b, and remember that also can be written as a fraction. You'll often see this in algebra, and that's just a over b. And the square of a is written as a to the power of 2 or a squared. So let's just take a minute to write these down into our books. Alright, now moving on, this one addresses our last success criteria here, to be able to write expressions from word description. So let's have a go at this. Write an expression for each of the following. Question A, the sum of 3 and k. Remember, the sum was adding, so the sum of 3 and k will be 3 plus k. Question B, the product of m and 7. Remember from the slide before, product means multiplication, so that will be m times 7, or if you write it in a simpler algebraic way, it will be 7m. Next one, question C, 5 is added to 1/2 of k. So we're going to do 1/2 of k first and then add 5, because we're adding 5 to 1/2 of k. So 1/2 of k will be k divided by 2 plus 5. And question D, the sum of a and b is doubled, so that means we find the sum of a and b first and then double that. So that will be 2 bracket a plus b. If you do have any questions about this, just remember to ask your teacher in class. Alright, now moving on, pause the video here and have a go at these ones by yourself, and just unpause the video when you're ready to go through them with me. So question A, write an expression for the sum of q and 7. This one's nice and easy. Sum was just adding, and the second one, the product of 3 and k. Remember, product was just multiplying, so that would be 3k. Moving on to question C, this one's a little bit trickier. 3 is subtracted from 1/4 of p. So 1/4, that's the same as dividing it by 4. So 1/4 of p is found as p over 4, and we're subtracting 3 from that. So we're going to minus 3 there. And D, the sum of a and double b is tripled. So we're going to double b first and then add a and then triple it. So the sum of a and double b, so a plus 2b, and we're going to triple that now. So we need to bracket that first, we're doing that first, and the 3 sign goes right outside it. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this math video. Hopefully you guys did learn something from that. And also hopefully by now you guys know the basic terminology of algebra, know how to identify coefficients, terms, and constant terms, and can finally write expressions from word descriptions. Once again, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all back online.